The new thing that's coming that no one really knows about is that we decided we really need a platform for them to connect with each other on a more personal basis and kind of have a little camaraderie group. So we're going to start a monthly Zoom meeting for them.
Hi there. I'm sitting here today with Becky Durham, the Director of Training at RE/MAX Results. And Becky, I'm so excited to interview you and show our listeners a little bit more of what makes Becky and the personal side to you. So let's dig in. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Tell me a little bit about where did you grow up?
Oh, that's a hard question. Not really hard question, but it's a little tricky question. I'll do a short version. My dad was with the JCPenney Company. So we moved every 2 to 4 years.
My grandfather was with the JCPenney Company.
What store?
Okay,
No.
we'll have to dig into that. Yeah.
So we lived numerous places in Iowa, Nebraska. Up here in the metro area, he was moved up here, but then even within that area, we moved several times to different suburbs, mostly in the northwest suburbs, Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, out in that New Hope area. But yeah, so I was a relocation kid, so that's why when it comes to doing real estate, relocation is something that I understand.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. And where did you go to college?
Bachelor's degree was at UW Stout in Menominee.
Okay.
Got a degree in home economics education.
Okay.
And I did my student teaching. And then I said, no, I'm not doing that. So, so then I ended up working for the college because during college, my junior year, I was married. And John and I got married in junior year of college. And so he was still finishing his undergraduate degree and then worked on a master's degree. So I ended up staying at Stout and working there for a while. But then I went on later to get a master's degree. And my master's degree is from Mankato State University.
Okay.
And it's in a very unique niche called college student development. So it was to work at a college, but not in a academic capacity, but in one of the support services capacities, departments.
Okay. I know you did some time working at St. Thomas too. So how did you end up?
Sounds like I was in prison. I did some time
at St. Thomas University. I know.
I ended up at St. Thomas filling in for somebody who was on a maternity leave.
Okay.
And that was the third time I'd ever done that for somebody. So it almost got to the point where it was a comedy that whoever was having a baby, I would be the one filling in for them. But then a position opened up there. And so I interviewed for it while I was there, and I got the job. And I lasted 30 years.
Wow.
At the University of St. Thomas. So I was a career development specialist, and I worked with undergraduate students, graduate students, and alumni. Everything from choosing a major to looking for an internship, resume, job search. I did individual classes. I did classroom seminars. I did appointments, consultations with faculty. So it was a really fun gig.
Well, you're kind of doing that now at RE/MAX Results in a sense. So you and your husband, John, how did you get into real estate? You didn't originally start out at RE/MAX Results.
No, we didn't. We were with a different broker. We were with the Blue brand.
Okay, and then when did you join Results?
I had to look that one up because I asked him, and it was, this is kind of a funny story. It was February of 2009.
Okay.
So what happened is they had talked to us about it. We were in the Woodbury Coldwell office at that time. Mm-hmm. And they had talked to us about coming over. We agreed, but they said, tell you what, we're moving into a new building. Why don't you wait to make the transition to our building is done?
Yep,
so
I remember that.
I think literally it was maybe the first day that they had the doors open.
Okay.
And at midnight in February, we went to our office and we had dollies and we emptied it out because, you kind of have to do that in the middle of the night. And we emptied.
Why do people do that in the middle of the night? It really doesn't have to be that way.
It's a covert operation. So we moved in. And we brought our last dolly's worth in, and he said, and we were putting stuff in our new office at the Woodbury RE/MAX Results. And he said, I'm going to go get the car, keep it warmed up for you, and I'll meet you out there. And I said, sure, sounds great. So I don't know, I probably had to go to the bathroom or something. And I went to go out of the door, and it was locked. And I stood there, and I didn't have a phone with me, and I was pounding on the door. He was sitting on the parking lot in the car, just kind of thinking, like, it's probably 2 a.m. Where is she?
This happens to me in the Hudson office all the time.
Okay. So what I had a panic attack. So what I finally figured out is I had my mittens on, and it's heat sensitized. The doors are.
Oh.
So you can't have mittens on.
Okay.
So anyway, I thought I was going to sleep on the couch the first night at RE/MAX Results because I couldn't get the door open.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, it was kind of a funny story.
Okay.
Yeah. But we made our transition in February of 2009.
Okay. And then here you are today. How long have you been in the role of Director of Training at RE/MAX Results?
I wrote that one down. I know the answer. October of 2018.
Okay.
I know.
All right.
It's gone really fast. I'm coming up on my 5-year anniversary.
Yeah.
So I was at St. Thomas for 30 years, and then my daughters graduated from college, and so the tuition remission was no longer necessary. Mm-hmm. And there were some things going on there, and I thought, I'm going to transition, and John and I talked about it. I'm going to transition and work full-time with John in real estate, because I'd been kind of part-time, supportive sorts of things, nights and weekends.
Yep.
So I quit my St. Thomas job, and the purpose was for me to go full-time with him. And then John was in a meeting with you.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you were interviewing for a director of training.
Yeah.
And John said, Becky would love that job.
Without consulting you first.
I know. And as you said earlier, it literally takes my whole entire background and blends it all into one thing all together at the same time, because I have an education degree. I did the classes and the class presentations and the programming at St. Thomas. I'm licensed in real estate in Minnesota and Wisconsin. So it was a perfect fit, and it's just been fun ever since.
Help me on the timeline. I remember, if it was, you guys used to do a big senior event in Woodbury. Mm-hmm.
Pre-COVID.
At the community...
Fieldberg Community Center, or Sports Center.
Yeah. That Sports Center, thank you. Yeah. And I had gone to that, and I don't know if you were in the role of Director of Training yet.
No.
But you were there. Mm-hmm. I was checking it out on a weekend, and I happened upon you leading a class with a bunch of seniors. And you were just a natural. You were, and there were quite a few people there. Mm-hmm. And, but it was around that time that I think John had...
It was right before that.
Maybe planted the seed with me or something about, and I thought, you're a natural. You're very, very good. So, and here we are today. Mm-hmm. You completely transformed the training department at RE/MAX Results. We had a really good operation, but you just took it and made it great, and let's dive into that a little bit for the people listening, as far as some of the accomplishments that you've done. What are some of the things, like, give me the 4 or 5 things you're most proud of that you've done in the last 5 years?
Okay.
In the role?
One of the things when I was hired for this position, John Colopy asked that I develop a program for the newly licensed sales executives. Mm-hmm. And so because of my background in education and curriculum development, I envisioned it very quickly, and we branded it called Results Ready.
Yes.
And there's some core classes that are mandated, it's kind of a strong word, but highly recommended. Mm-hmm. Business planning, working with buyers, sellers, some lead generation classes. One of my visions from the start was to have classes on contracts, which is not my specialty. Mm-hmm. And now with Ed Kaiser on staff, Ed's been doing those. Mm-hmm. And so we have learning modules. He's done the ones on the purchase agreement. Mike Vanderheiden's done some on the listing agreement. And then Susan Jackson's done some on the buyer.
And those contracts classes are part of the Results Ready training program?
Yes, they're all recorded modules, so they can watch them whenever they want and go back and view them. Mm-hmm. And then there's some elective classes. So we packaged all that together. We push it out in a variety of ways to all of the people that are newly licensed, and then also the team leads. The new thing that's coming that no one really knows about is that we decided we really need a platform for them to connect with each other on a more personal basis and kind of have a little camaraderie group. Mm-hmm. So we're going to start a monthly Zoom meeting for them, and we're going to have somebody in from each department once a month to just highlight their services, ask questions. So
I love
we're starting that in May, and so there will be an invitation to those people just to say, hey, join us, come meet some new people, learn about some services services, ask questions from different people about department offerings. So that's been one of the really big programs that I've rolled out. Another thing is that the learning platform that we had called A Bridge was just not functioning well. And then once we switched to the Zoom format, it didn't work at all. It just wasn't capable. They hadn't kept up with that. So my previous assistant, Kristen Coleman, did some shopping. We transitioned it. And here's a statistic. That program that new learning management system has only been out a year. March was its year anniversary.
And this is Brainier.
Brainier. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
For filling in the words I missed.
Yeah, no problem.
We quadrupled the user engagement.
Wow.
In 1 year.
It's much easier.
It's so much easier. It's so much more user-friendly. And we, one of the other glitches with the previous system is there was not access for the RSS and RRS people, and now we have a way for them to do that. So we have single sign-on plus just direct login. So that's another one of them.
Our sister brokerages, Result Support Services and Results Referral Services, for those listening that aren't familiar with RSS, RRS, as we refer to them.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, they now have full access to all the training that RE/MAX Results agents have access to. So that's because of Brainier. Thank you. That was a huge undertaking. And what you guys did with Brainier was so impressive to the staff at Brainier. They actually had you present on a panel or something.
They had a conference last year, and so we presented our own session, and then we won an award for it.
Yes, that's fabulous.
Yeah. And I say we very generously because Kristen was very involved with that.
Yes, she was. Yeah, that's awesome. So talk a little bit about since COVID. We all had to do a lot, but especially you.
I sat home for how many weeks when the offices were closed, and I thought, now what do I do? Because my background was classroom training, and I loved classroom training, and I was going out to the offices. And so I honestly had to have some soul searching with myself about what this meant for me personally, as well as the program, because putting me in front of camera and technology just was not a thing. And I went back to the office. I lost sleep over it. And it's like, do I want to do this? Do I know how to figure this out? Can I really do this? And it was a learning curve. But now, to be honest, I love it.
Yes.
I just love it. And so I was in a class yesterday, and I had 22 people, and I had people from all over the state in my class.
I know, it's wonderful.
It's just so convenient. And I try to make it engaging, and it's the live webinar, so I'm still there in person. It's not, click a slide, read a slide, click a slide, read a slide. And so it's been a huge learning curve for me, but I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's been a challenge.
Yeah, it's made you scalable. Your ability now to conduct more classes because there's less travel and, reach people, like you said, in greater Minnesota or Wisconsin. But we still do the in-person. There's a lot of people that still like that in-person. So we do that as well. We offer both.
So since 2020, which was COVID year, I doubled the number of classes that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And credits that are offered. And so I'm still, I'm doing a lot. I still do office rotations. I try to get out twice a year to the offices. What I typically have been doing is design one new class every year that's kind of my signature class that I go on the road with, making sure that it's probably something nobody's taken, so I don't have to answer the question, have I taken this before? And so this last year I developed a class. I start developing the class probably like in May, June, because then I roll it out in the fall. So last year I started reading and listening to everything, and it was all about the market shifting. So the class that I did this last year, this last round, I'm just finishing it up, is called The Market Shifting Are You?
Yes.
And it's been very well received.
Can we go back a little ways? I want you to share a story because this just cracks me up. I don't know if you know.
Do I have to really tattle?
Well, a number of years ago, I shouldn't categorize myself in this we. John Colopy lost. He was penalized with the state of Minnesota somehow. He got in trouble.
Okay.
And he lost the ability to provide continuing education credits. Now, we were still providing them through outside sources, who we still lean on, like Mike Brennan. We love him at Minnesota Realty School. But talk to me about that. So when you,
to be honest, I don't have a million details. All I knew is when I started, one of my goals.
Oh, I have details.
Well, I was at the session when it happened.
But you turned it around, and we now are, providing CE.
Yes, when I started, my goal was to do that. So I had to literally ask a million people, where's this paperwork? Where's this file? Where's our number? And in the bottom drawer of somebody's cupboard, we found all of the documentation and the stuff, and we had to blow the dust off of it. They had kept up the payments on it, so we still had the provider status, but we hadn't been offering the classes, and we had to get approval for who was going to teach the classes. We'll just put it that way.
Pre-approval. Was John ever approved again? Or is he permanently banned?
I don't know. I didn't ask that question.
I just remember that was something we were happy to be able to bring that back. And now we have got several of us that are authorized and approved to provide
We have. I went through my files, but I think it's around right now 25 approved CE classes that have been submitted to the Department of Commerce. So.
Right now we have 25, yeah. Mm-hmm. And how many, so we provide CE classes. All of our classes that we provide are free. Yes. But this includes all the continuing education classes. And, of course, realtors at other organizations are allowed to attend any of these CE classes. And last year, give me an idea, how many credits we provide?
All right, that's where I have to look on my sheet.
I think I read something recently, it was over 200 CE credits.
In 2022. We provided, this is just me though, this isn't Ed and some other people. I did almost 1,700 credit hours.
Okay, I was way off on the number.
Yeah.
1,700.
That was in 2022.
Okay.
1,676 credit hours were awarded just that I taught, 948 attendees. So
nice. Yeah.
We've ramped it up big time.
Yeah. So.
And then with other people, and that's been one of the fun things, really a fun thing as part of my job, partnering with other people.
Yeah.
You've had some CEs, Mike's done some, Ed's done some. I've actually talked to a few sales executives about doing them, and we're open to that. They just need to approach me. Actually, we have 2 people that have been approved to do that, and it's a fair housing class. So cool. I'm always looking for new instructors. They get tired of listening to me all the time.
Yeah, guest speakers and trainers, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So because of that, it's really fun to get to wave the finger at the sales executives that don't have their CE done. We know who you are. It's the same group of people every year come May, June that
I need anything?
Scrambling to get their CE done when, it's out there, it's available, and it's free, and it's a big benefit that RE/MAX Results provides.
It's huge.
Thanks to you, Becky.
Well, thank you for allowing me the opportunity, because it's been really fun.
Talk a little bit about going back to one of the questions I asked you earlier about just some major accomplishments that you've done in your short time in the role. Is one of the other ones is this big fall event you've done 2 years now?
Yeah,
so
it's 2 years.
Third year?
I had a vision when I started. I mean, previously there had been a day where CE credits were offered, but I envisioned something bigger. And then it went away because there wasn't anyone in that role. And then COVID kind of put a kibosh on it. Yeah. So I kept having to put a hold on it. But we finally did it, and 2 years ago, and it's a full day of CE classes. So we do the traditional, required module in the morning. Ed, Mike Brennan does that. Now Ed in the afternoon. Poor Ed. I don't know if Ed's ever told you this. When you interviewed him, you said, "Are you willing to do classes and teach CE?" Right?
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, sure." Well, he started, I don't know, in the summer sometime, and I worked with him on developing his first class. That was a 3-hour class. I put him for the very first time teaching anything on a stage with 300 people in a room.
He's a natural, though.
Yeah. He warmed up. Anyway, so we did it. And the part that I added was the vendors. And so the first year we had about 8 or 10 vendors. We outgrew that space dramatically, so we couldn't go back there. So last year we moved to a new venue, and we had 25 vendors and about 350 attendees.
Yeah.
And we're in the works right now. The contract hasn't been finalized, but we're going to yet another new venue because we have even more room for attendees and participants. But it'll be early November. Probably the first week in November.
And what do we call this event? It's the fall?
CE Fair, Vendor Day, kind of,
CE and Vendor Fair.
CE Fair, our CE Day Vendor Fair.
Full day of training, including the module, and it's complimentary.
And yes.
With breakfast and lunch. And lots of swag.
And snacks.
So it's fun.
And coffee. We know realtors need their coffee.
Yes. So the associates look forward to that, and this will be the third year that'll be coming. That's fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
And it's fun for them to see each other and to network. I think we lost that during COVID. And so I think some of them missed the opportunity also just to network with each other in the room and get to know each other, and so
I know quite a few of our associates from outer markets like to travel into the Twin Cities and get a hotel room and kind of make an event of it to catch up with some friends in the Twin Cities. So that's awesome. So talk to me about. So you already gave away one new thing that you're working on, and that's the Zoom networking for the newly licensed. What else are you working on? Anything?
I'll be developing a new CE class, so my brain's already churning about what that might look like. And what that class would be. And then similar to, people are just getting more comfortable with Zoom. We avoided it pre-COVID. It was always there, but we all avoided it. And now we've gotten used to it. And the ultimate results that we did on Women in Real Estate, that panel, that was so well received that I have an idea. We just got to implement it that possibly, feedback on this would be great. Once a month, having a topic and just having people pop in, and it'll be topic related, maybe a couple of the sales agents leading it that have more expertise in that area. But people, it gives them time, not in a webinar format where everybody's quiet, but where they can engage with one another, because we're spread out in so many offices, but we can network with mentor with each other on a variety of topics. So something along those lines. So
that's great.
Sort of in the back of my brain.
Yeah. So you have a new team member with you.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about?
Sure. Yes. Kristen Coleman got me up and running with Brainier, and then found a new position elsewhere. So it was a perfect fit for her and what she was doing. And I interviewed and found another wonderful rock star young woman, Kelsey Wortman. And so she's only been in the position a few weeks, but already is just knowing the job and doing the job, and she's just absolutely fantastic.
I've heard wonderful things about Kelsey.
Yeah, she's absolutely wonderful. So especially considering she just jumped into this and I went all at once. She's handled it really well.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
She got the skill set. It's a very unusual skill set that's needed for this job. It's some data, some marketing, some communication, tech skills, kinds of things. So it's a real hodgepodge.
That's great. What's the most common question you get, or from our realtors, like that they reach out to you for assistance with, for example?
Unfortunately, it's to ask me if they have their credits done.
Because you
and I give the credits. I don't know if they've taken the classes. I have no access to that information. So that's one of the things. But
if you're listening to this podcast today and you're wondering how many, your office manager can look that up for you and tell you what you need to complete.
And it is what I call CE season.
Yes,
it's cram time. Yeah. So so that's a really big question that I'm getting right now. But that's kind of it. So.
What is something else that you you wish more people knew about maybe yourself or Kelsey or the training team as far as what services that you provide?
I think the main thing is that we're really open to feedback. I'm required by the Department of Commerce to do an evaluation every time I do a class. It's not required for them to get credit. It's required for me as a provider to ask for feedback. And so we don't take that lightly. Every time there is a class, we pull up the reviews, we take a look at it, we look for the feedback on what they're recommending, what they're suggesting. I keep a running list of topics that people suggest and recommend, and so I think that can be helpful. Some of the things I've already implemented, like that CE day with the conference, people were saying it would be nice to get together again in a group, and we miss seeing each other and connecting with one another. So some of it.
Awesome. So when you're not running the show for training at Remax Results, what do you, or maybe assisting John with sales on occasion, what are you busy doing outside of work?
What am I busy doing outside of work? I am so busy. I'm so involved in so many things. We moved to Hudson. We moved to Hudson 12 years ago, and we didn't know anyone. It was a kind of an impulse move, a realtor move about, there's a deal on a house, let's go. And so we moved up there, and we didn't know anyone. And so I thought, I really need to get to know this community.
Where were you before Hudson?
Oakdale, Woodbury area.
Okay, so
yeah, and then they opened the Hudson office shortly after we were out there. So it made it perfect for us to kind of have that convenience. So I got really involved in the community, and so because at that point I wasn't, at a certain point I wasn't working full time, joined several women's organizations that are very philanthropic. There are ones called PEO, and we do a lot of fundraising for women and women's education, women's special needs. Another one I got involved with is the Hudson Women's Club, and I'm on the board for that. I'm the chair of the upcoming fundraising event. We have about 125 women, and we raise funds once again, but it's very specific to Hudson. So a scholarship for women in the high school, donations to organizations in the community that need funding. Kinds of things. I had been volunteering at a senior home. I love seniors. And I volunteered to work there, and they're like, where do you want to work? And I said, I don't care, put me where you want. Well, they put me in the special unit that was memory care and special needs kinds of things, the lockdown unit. Yeah. I loved it. I loved it. It was so much fun. I gave that up.
Still do?
No, I had to give that up when I was doing this.
Yeah.
I was on the board at the hospital for the foundation board and the hospital board. That I've given up to since this full-time job. But maybe getting back to some of that. So that's my social involvement. I work out a lot. So we have a gym in our basement, fortunately. So I just walk downstairs every morning and do that. Recently, John and I bought e-bikes. It's our new thing.
Okay.
So if you see me coming to work with broken arms or scrapes all over my face, I do wear a helmet. But it's our new thing, and we've really started to get excited about it. This winter, on those really cold, miserable, terrible nights, we spent our nights watching videos of bike trails.
Oh, you're kidding.
And so they call them rail to road.
Okay.
Rail to trail. And so we've researched the paths, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and it's going to be our thing.
Okay.
And so we're planning trips, just either day trips or weekend trips, possibly long-term vacations that involve our bikes.
And then you also have, talk about your grandchildren.
I have two grown daughters.
Yes.
And so my oldest daughter is a physician assistant down in Miami.
Yep.
And she's in the dermatology area, which is a kind of a nice market for dermatology work.
Yes.
With all the sun. And she's married, and they have a dog that's their child. Chloe is their golden retriever, so she's my grandpup down there.
Okay.
And then my daughter up here is married to a gentleman, and they live in Afton, so fortunately very close.
Yep.
And they have a little boy, Jack. And he was born on the winter solstice of 21, so 12, 21, 21. It was kind of a fun number to do. And then they've announced they're having another one in July, so I'm going to have two under 18 months, and so that will keep us busy. So, and she's a full-time mom. So
wonderful.
So that's been fun, and they have two dogs, so I have lots of grandpups.
All right. Yeah. Well, and your own pups too.
Well, she passed away. We had to.
I'm so
No, that's
sorry.
all right. It was fine. It was time. She was 12 years old, and she was very sick. So in January, we said goodbye. And
I'm
so that's why I love my grandpups. Well, you know what? I had my grandpups for a while, and I kind of decided in March, I had the two Frenchies, and I thought, I like this form of dog ownership. I don't pay the bills. I don't have to go to the vet. I don't have to buy the dog food. I just play with them and take them for walks and let them cuddle with me, and then I send them home, kind of like grandchildren.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you. It's been fun.
You've just done such a fabulous job, and I hear it all the time from our sales executives, how appreciative they are of you.
Thank you.
And what you bring to the organization.
Feedback, and it's a fun gig.
It's been wonderful chatting with you.
Yeah. Thanks, Brenda.
Yeah.